All right, welcome to the Meat and Potatoes podcast. It is the end of July, right? Or is it January?
January has 172 days now, right?
Yeah. It's only going to be 101 degrees today. So apparently we're under a dome and that's fun to just sit here and bake. But anyways, we're joined by Casey Brothers, who is the senior marketing strategist at Weave. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Appreciate you joining today. I hope you're staying cool somewhere, probably at home.
Yep, in the basement where it's the coolest, right?
Perfect. That's great. So we're going to talk a little bit about your podcast on this podcast.
Kind of fun to be the one being interviewed. It's kind
Yeah.
of weird, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. You're the first person with a fancy furry microphone.
Oh, I hope that's a good thing.
A good thing. It's coming through crystal clear.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So you've got a podcast called We've Connected. Why don't you
Yes.
tell the listeners all about it? Where did the idea come from and how's it going? A deep dive.
Yeah. Yeah. So our VP of marketing and myself were kind of noodling on what is the essence of Weave as a company. What is our big why? What really motivates us? What do we want to talk about that really resonates with the people we serve as well? And started brainstorming on all these different things of like entrepreneurship and small business, and wanted to put something out there that wasn't necessarily associated with our product. And to true Casey form, I decided to just start recording episodes of the podcast to give her something to respond to. I figured that was better than just kind of twiddling our thumbs.
Yeah.
And then it just has taken off. We've got, 13 episodes now. We've got a series of 7 episodes launching soon. And it's been great. It's been really fun to highlight entrepreneurship and to find people who are killing it.
Yeah. Cool. So you didn't waste your time twiddling your thumbs. You said you just jumped right in.
Yep. Figured I'd ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
That's a good strategy most of the time. So it's specifically focused on a few kind of cool things that make the podcast unique. What's kind of your nuance there and your special sauce?
Oh, well, I feel like the drum I'm beating right now is we I think we have good evidence that 2020 will produce a lot of entrepreneurs simply because of what happened in 2008. But this downturn has been even more extreme, which as a result could hopefully produce more entrepreneurs. And I want to give people the inspiration, motivation, tools, resources, ideas to be able to make this happen, and make it happen sooner rather than later, because it's hard to lose a job. It's hard to be displaced. And it can be hard to pick yourself up out of those times. And so I've wanted to provide that hope and light in amidst murder hornets and a pandemic and everything else.
Yeah, a heat dome.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've had 13 guests on so far, and the majority of them are brand new startups or first timers. What's the demographic there?
Oh, a little bit of everything. We try to, I think the one main qualifier I try to stick with is interviewing people who have experience or are pursuing a service-based business. Just in an effort to, product supply chain that can take a bit more time to set up, and it's not necessarily Weave's expertise either. But service-based businesses too also serve a huge need we have right now, where we feel such a lack of human connection as we've all social distanced or had to work from home or whatever it might be. And those businesses, I think, are in a unique position to help make up for our thirst for more human connection.
Yeah. And we were talking on the phone a couple of days ago. Um, there's a focus that you're going to talk about creating businesses or starting businesses in a certain amount of days.
Yeah, we figured we'd be aggressive and say, hey, we'll help you launch it in 3 days, right?
Yeah.
So, going along with that drum, I feel like we've been beating on the podcast of making 2020 the year of entrepreneurs. I felt like a lot of our episodes were great like talking shop and diving deep into what someone else did, but not necessarily providing actionable resources, tools, and things for people who might be trying to do the same thing. So I really wanted to we recorded 7 episodes to dedicate deep dive conversations with experts about how to take, the requirement is that you already have an idea, you've vetted it a bit at least, and we're going to help you take that off the ground and get going. Maybe it's that you need some external accountability or just a little bit more guidance and expertise in some of these areas. But the idea being that quick and dirty, we're going to get it off the ground, get you going, so that then you can just continue to refine and be better, but ultimately just enter that field as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So you can't procrastinate and have an idea for 4 years before you.
Yeah, we're going off of that, my mantra, Casey's mantra of don't twiddle your thumbs, ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Well, that's great. And, inevitably a big majority of them won't work, but there might be some that make it through
Yeah.
and they'll be able to trace it back. But, it's a bad feeling where you think you've got one or two good ideas and you're either too lazy or too scared or too busy.
Well, the thing is, right, to your point, like if it doesn't get off the ground, the beauty is the fact that you trying means your next effort will be that much more successful.
Yeah.
And then even like idea wise too, the more we share ideas and act on our ideas, the more ideas we get. And so even if it's not ultimately that the business people launch in this effort becomes the successful, thriving thing, it gets them on the path to reach that thing, to have an abundant mindset, to learn in an effort to then land on the thing that will take off.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've already gone through a little bit of the school of hard knocks. Because there's some, depending on your personality, there's some unpleasant parts of starting a business. At some point, there's going to be a cap table and a lawyer is going to be called.
Yeah.
All of that. And it's actually like a pretty big checklist. Certain people like that. And then certain people only like aspects of it, but at least they'll feel good that they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Great. So real quick, what's your background that's led you to weave and kind of being passionate about this type of entrepreneur?
Yeah, let's see, where do I start? My background, I worked at Qualtrics for a few years, got to see that go from, I joined the year after they doubled their employment. And they still, continued to grow at tremendous rates in the years that I was there as well. But, and then I went to a company that will remain anonymous, that is actually a competitor of Weave's, and had a really interesting experience there. Learned a lot about managing up, learned a lot about dealing with pessimism, learned a lot about just tough sales leadership, and realized it just wasn't for me. Our VP of marketing at Weave, she and I worked together at Qualtrics and reached out and knew she and I shared a lot of similar ideas and work ethic. and join the team and just kind of hit the ground running. I've always had a passion for being proactive, being on the go. As a kid, I remember putting up flyers on all of the mailboxes of all of the different jobs that I was willing to do that summer. Or I think I even made business cards as a kid. So I'm surprised my own path hasn't necessarily taken me into entrepreneurship, but I've had a lot of entrepreneurship where I've worked to start larger projects within the organization that I've been working in as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, very similar. Very similar. Whether you're doing it on your own or spearheading something in a bigger group.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I need kids like you or in my neighborhood that come around and offer to do.
For who knows how much an hour. I don't know how much I charged. I mean, I remember like reading books while I watered lawns, but I
Yeah,
did it.
yeah, good for you. Yeah, I don't know if those exist in my neighborhood. At least it's pretty tricky to even get the plants watered when you go on vacation. Um, okay, cool. So, um, who have been some of your guests? You can't rattle them all off. And then what are some of your kind of favorite, not guests, but companies? Because I'm sure you loved all your guests equally.
Yeah. We've done a lot of small companies, to be honest, which I've loved. We've highlighted our first episode that got a lot of downloads was actually a good friend of mine who established Utah Furniture Deals.
Oh,
And her name is Sarah. She just decided, like, in her spare time, she would go and get one-off pieces of furniture and enjoy doing that as a hobby. And she'd sell them on Facebook Marketplace and realized it wasn't a scalable business, especially as she kept on getting asked for different things that she just had onesies or twosies of.
yeah,
And within a year had a retail location. And it was really cool to see that business get a lot of traction. I interviewed a doula pair who have had to adapt a lot with COVID because they're no longer allowed in the hospital with their clients. I interviewed a venture capitalist, Kurt Roberts, who was really awesome. I loved his episode because he gave a lot of insight into when it comes to presenting your idea and having a viable, profitable idea, and not just an idea, right? But something that, and I titled the episode orders of magnitude better. Then because that was the key principle he kept hitting on, was making sure that, like, there's hardly any idea out there that hasn't already been thought of, but how are you going to make it orders of magnitude better? And I loved that.
yeah.
We had on our chief product officer, Weave, who during his time at Nike had to, as a product guy, not a sales guy, had to figure out really how to sell an idea, and had to sell this idea to LeBron
Yeah.
about how to get his sneakers onto Nike ID when he was so stuck on the idea of, but Air Jordans, there are a limited amount. If we put these on Nike ID, and people are able to customize their own, and blah, blah, blah. And Jeff had to figure out how to get him on board with that. And it turned Nike ID into a crucial arm of the business, whereas before it was kind of the ugly step cousin.
Oh, cool. So yeah, you've run the gamut. I had Jeff on a podcast as well, like a year and a half ago. He's very sharp
He is.
what he's doing. Absolutely. Oh, this is great, and it's fun and it's productive for you and Weave and the entrepreneurs. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. So what are some key dates and like calls to action going forward with your podcast?
Yeah, so we're going to be launching those 7 episodes on how to launch a business in 3 days, hopefully mid-September. And it comes along with a challenge so that if people participate, then they will be able to submit the business that they established within that time frame, their website, social media handles, all of that, for an opportunity to win a gift card for their business and a year of Weave.
Oh, cool.
So look out for that. We're hoping to do similar things down the road of whether it be refining your business or opening a brick and mortar, doing business in the new normal with COVID. And granted, like we have those themes strewn about all of our conversations because that's what's going on, but doing a little bit more targeted effort on some of those topics that are really, really important to people right now.
Cool. So you'll be adaptable and you'll just roll with the punches.
100%.
Cool. Hopefully, one of your guests has a vaccine and a cure for COVID, so there is no new normal.
We were actually just listening to an episode of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me from NPR. And, you know, they do these stories about, hey, here are these 3 stories. Which one's the actual true one? And I was really glad this one wasn't true, but they presented this story of an at-home COVID vaccine test kit and all of the things that came with it to help you find the vaccine in your kitchen or something. It was kind of funny.
I'm fine with any idea at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
If we get college football canceled, I don't know if you're a college football fan, because we can't figure it out. I'll be quite sad and despondent. But
You'll have to find something else to occupy your time.
yeah. All right. Well, cool. So if people want to learn more about this and your podcast, where can they go?
We will be launching our website shortly. It will be getweave.com/weave connected. And that's weave, WEAVE. Very punny there.
That's a good one. It's nice when your company name can actually be used for marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. And so in addition to, you know, these folks doing something productive and maybe following their dreams, they could get a gift card and a year of Weave services.
Exactly. Which we are thrilled about to be able to offer that kind of a help to someone that's trying to get off the ground and building their customers, creating seamless communication from first phone call to final payment, all of that jazz.
Yeah. Well, congrats on a really cool idea and a great concept, and seems like you're really enjoying it. So look forward to hearing about your success, and hopefully in a year from now, you've got all sorts of fun stories.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Casey Brothers, Senior Marketing Strategist at Weave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Garrett.